My name is Donald MacEwan. I am the chaplain at the University of St Andrews, and I am the convener of the Theological Forum. Since the Forum last reported to the General Assembly of 2019, we have been reflecting on issues which have been brand new, alongside those which have been discussed for hundreds of years within the Church. Perhaps the newest issue has been online sacraments. Can communion be celebrated over Zoom? Can it be done over a live stream? If so, what implications would there be for our practice, or indeed for the very words that we use? The Theological Forum put some thoughts together on this last spring, which you are welcome to read on the Church's website, and which I know have been helpful to ministers and churches grappling with digital worship. Now, another aspect of Holy Communion that we've looked at, following an instruction from the General Assembly of 2018, is confirmation and profession of faith. And that includes how it is connected to communion. We've called this section in our report, Being Confirmed, Professing the Faith, Sharing Communion. There's been a wide variety of belief and practice around how this transition is marked in people's lives across the Church and within the Church of Scotland. We reflect on this history and this diversity. We explore theological dimensions and pastoral and practical considerations. And part of this, again in response to a request from the General Assembly, this time from 2019, connected to this, we touch on questions around church membership in relation to a person's age. Now, profession of faith and confirmation are clearly aspects of expressing commitment to Christ and the Church in public worship. And we conclude that while profession of faith and confirmation may no longer be required for admission to communion, these rites should be seen principally as wonderful occasions to teach and to learn the Christian faith, to deepen in commitment, and to be encouraged as communities of faith. Our experience and our hope is that preparation for and the very services of confirmation and profession of faith, that these can be hugely helpful to people on their journeys of faith. During the course of the past year, we also spent time thinking about mission, responding to a request from the Assembly trustees. The 5 marks of mission are increasingly being used in discussions around resources and priorities, but what are they? Where did they come from? And how helpful are they in our contexts in Scotland and beyond, and in 2021 and after? And how helpful are the 5 marks of mission for individuals, for congregations, for presbyteries, for the national church, and ecumenically? And so we wrote a concise piece of reflection, which is again available on the Church's website. We conclude that the 5 marks offer a broad, generous theological vision for Christian mission, all 5 aspects hanging together inseparably in proclamation and in service. We believe they are less useful in guiding decisions about prioritization. Those decisions require a practical wisdom. We go on in our report to mention briefly some new work supporting the Church's deep concerns over the environment. We're taking time, and we're in the midst of this, to reflect deeply on the theology of creation in the light of climate change and in other forms of environmental degradation. And we're doing this in the context of mission and Christian hope. It can be so hard to maintain hope in these circumstances. We're enjoying this thinking, even though the context is so deeply worrying. And we hope to report to a future assembly, possibly next year. But the bulk of our attention from 2018 has been spent on a significant instruction from the General Assembly about the Westminster Confession of Faith in the Church. And this followed a successful overture to review its status. We're offering an interim contribution this year. Interim, but substantial, but also readable. You'll find it as an appendix to our report called Westminster, Confessions, and the Church. We've distilled quite a range of issues into a mere 17 pages. We discuss the functions of a confession within a Reformed context, and we offer comparisons with creeds, declarations, and other confessions expressing the Christian faith. We examine, of course, the Westminster Confession of Faith in particular, its origins, its emphases, and perceptions of its strengths and its weaknesses. We sketch the history of different forms of subscription to the Westminster Confession over time in Scotland, which emerged partly in response to difficulties. We then look at 20th century attempts in the Church to alter the relationship with the confession found in the status quo set out in the Articles Declaratory. We then describe an alternative model for confessional standards found in the Presbyterian Church USA. They have a book of confessions. And then we lay out a range of options which the Church could take. We offer our own preferred option, and this is it, that people exercising recognized ministries in the Church would assent to the creeds and the first article declaratory, and also commit to be guided by a range of confessions, including the Westminster Confession, recognizing in this commitment liberty of opinion on such points of doctrine as do not enter into the fundamentals of the faith. We believe that this would preserve the essential functions of a confession in a Reformed church as part of an ecumenical context while recognizing personal and theological integrity. As I said, this is an interim report. We've already held a webinar earlier this month to explore these issues more fully, and we invite responses to the forum by the end of this year to help us offer firm proposals to the General Assembly of 2022. If online communion is the newest issue we face, the status of the Westminster Confession is one of the oldest in the Church of Scotland. But it has all been hugely enjoyable. In fact, it has been a privilege to spend time reading, thinking, discussing together, praying, and writing about these questions over recent years. I hope you enjoy reading our reflections as much as we have in writing them. And we look forward to discussion and debate in the Assembly. Thank you.